Hey everyone, I'm Allison,
I'm Bryce, and
and we're
we're
Better
Better
Half
Half
Reviews.
Reviews.
And today we are doing an art reveal for the game Deck of Wonders. So we're joined by some guests. Dennis, would you kick it off and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Dennis Furia, and I'm the designer of Deck of Wonders.
And then who are you, Lauren?
Hi, my name is Lauren Brown, and I'm the illustrator of Deck of Wonders.
So Deck of Wonders is a game that we talked about a year ago, pretty much. I was trying to look it up just before, but I really think our first little Instagram interview with you, Dennis, was basically a year ago, almost to the day.
Almost exactly, yeah, because the campaign launched on the 25th, which would have been 4 days ago.
Yeah, so I was
Crazy
like,
how
oh,
time
hey,
flies.
that's funny. So yeah, I was trying to find like, what exact day it was, but I feel like I saw like that memory pop up just a few days ago, and I'm like, hey, that's funny.
Mhm.
So, Dennis, can you tell us what Deck of Wonders is for those who don't know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Deck of Wonders is a solo legacy card game where fate herself has stacked the deck against you. And I kind of was inspired to make the game because I'm a parent who also loves very deep and strategic board games, which means that it's really hard to find the usual 6 hours, 8 friends, and 300 cubic feet of table space to run some of your Gloomhavens and whatnot. So I was like, I want to create a game that captures the feel of certain card games that I love, like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, but is also playable in a short burst that will give me that fix over nap time or whenever I can kind of find a moment, but also let me feel like I'm kind of contributing to something ongoing. Like I mentioned, it's a legacy game, so it evolves over time. The kind of key hook of the game, and we'll see it tonight in the art that we're revealing, is that every card you put into the deck is both a choice for you and the villain. So in a normal card battler like Hearthstone, you bring a deck that you built, and your opponent brings a deck that they build, and you battle them against each other. In Deck of Wonders, all the cards from both sides go into a single deck. Either side might draw it. And if fate decides it shows up on your turn, it's one thing. If fate decides it shows up on the villain's turn, it's another thing. And that kind of back and forth makes the deck building element really interesting, as well as the moment to moment play and counting cards and deciding on the best strategy, hopefully, really interesting as well. And of course, the world and the story is that you've stolen the Deck of Wonders, which is a powerful magical artifact from Fate herself. And she's kind of the goddess of the world. And so she's furious. She's trying to get it back from you. She's sending all these villains into your path who each one has their own motivations and their own style. And you are just frantically trying to stay one step ahead using the Deck of Wonders to outplay Fate, as it were. And so that story, that world, of course, is brought to life by Lauren with a ton of great art, over 50 pieces now complete, and one of which we are going to show off to the world for the first time ever tonight.
Indeed, yes, we are. So, Lauren, what has this experience been like for you as an artist to work on bringing, Dennis's ideas to life?
It's been wild and wonderful. When I was at Gen Con, Dennis found me at my table and wanted to commission me to make this game come to life, basically. And what he was looking for was exactly my style, which was a huge honor because it's the best thing for you to open a brief for a new card, and one of your pieces are a reference in that in that brief. And so it's been really fun experience being able to help collaboratively, like build up this world and build these art pieces and these different biomes for all these different villains, and also to play with the mechanics itself, because the top and bottom of the cards are called the tame side and the wild side will look different for each card, depending on whether you're playing it as the player or whether the villain is playing it against you. And so playing with that art in a narrative way was so much fun, and it was a really unique challenge to be able to tackle. But with each one, I could have a different kind of approach to them, and to really, bring it to life in interesting and surprising ways, and also sneak a lot of Easter eggs in there, which is always fun for me.
Ooh, Easter eggs. I'm excited to see what those are.
Yeah, seriously.
Because we got a prototype version and we had some of the cards had the final art on it, and so
Yes.
but most of them weren't because it was a year ago.
Yeah.
But from what we had, I was like, these look so cool, and like I love the forest trolls, and I don't know, so many of them, but especially the forest trolls are like one of my favorites.
I love how you take like this one concept of say a troll and you can make it tame or you can make it wild and how you capture that in your artwork. This is really awesome in my opinion.
Thank you.
And I love that it's different than what you usually see. Like when you think of trolls, you kind of think of like what we've seen on like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings and stuff. Like it's not like your typical troll, and so it feels really unique and
Yeah.
interesting. So I love that you have a different take on things. So that can help the game stand out too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun to be able to approach it with my own unique take on things because when I was at Gen Con, I actually felt really self-conscious about my style and how different it looked from a lot of other fantasy artists. But for this game, I really got to explore it with my own style and to be able to bring my own flavor to things. And so some of the cards that you would see in the deck may not be what you expect the standard, fantasy tropes of them to be, but they have been changed based on just what Dennis has put in the brief or what my own sensibilities have been. And I'm like, you know what? I think this would actually be cool here instead of what we typically see as like, a gnome or or a troll or a pixie. And so, just like playing with those tropes and turning them on their head. I'm hoping that it does make it stand out from other, board games and other fantasy things that you see out in the world.
So what is the process so like Dennis, this game is your idea. How do you go from I want a card that says this, make it happen? Like how do you translate that to what Lauren does? What's that process?
Yeah, so generally I have a description of what the card does in the game. So, if it's a big, powerful card that's going to really disrupt what the player is trying to do, then the art should look big and powerful, right? Or if it's like a sneaky kind of you're trapping your opponent's spell, then it should look sneaky. And so I'll kind of describe the gameplay effect. And then a little bit on the theme or the kind of just vibe that I'm imagining, combined with a lot of pictures. And I try to just do a lot of Googling, look at a lot of different sources, and pick things that just aren't like make it look exactly like this, but are more of like it should feel like this. And Lauren actually coached me on that early on. Like I was asking about what's most useful, and she pointed that out. And so just examples of like here's the feel, here's the vibe, without specifying exactly like I want this arm to be up here and I want that arm to be down there, and that level of specificity can get tricky sometimes. So yeah, it's the gameplay elements, any lore hooks or elements to it. For example, just for there's a creature, the Ents, that were in the original set. I think I said like I want a really blue collar vibe to them. But left it up to Lauren for what exactly that meant.
Yep, and it's been great too because that balance of being descriptive without being overly descriptive gave me a lot of freedom, but also gave me a really good baseline to work off of. Because if I had no instruction whatsoever and they're just like, yeah, just make this, here's the title, that's it, then it's wide open and I don't even know if I'm hitting on what somebody would want. And if it's too descriptive, then I just feel like I can't really be creative. So I think that Dennis's briefs have been the perfect balance of both, where I get a few references, I get the the flavor text, I get the rules, how the card is supposed to function, and that's a perfect amount of information for me to start working on my own thing. And then I send the sketch and see if I'm on the mark. And most of the time it has been on the mark, which has been really awesome. Because the revisions haven't been too bad. And yeah, the process has been really, really fun and collaborative. So it's been super enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And I know we're both super excited to get the final production copy of this game because it was really awesome for both of us. Like he wasn't much of a solo gamer, and so he was really getting into it.
Yeah, this is really the first solo game that I've played.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear that.
And honestly, it's still pretty much the only solo game I've played.
Well, and Allison, I remember back you would say kind of you weren't super familiar with tactical card games, or your Hearthstones, Magic the Gatherings before we got in contact. And I think that was one of the things that I just had the most fun doing, was like texting back and forth with you as you were seeing stuff, or hearing stories about how Bryce would like point something out and you're like, the light bulb goes off. It's really cool to think that Deck of Wonders could be an introduction to people on solo games, and that it could be an introduction to like this style of tactical card game. Like that's really exciting to me.
Definitely.
That, and even just looking into a game and seeing how different components or different cards work together at a deeper level, where it could be a gateway for someone to get kind of more into strategy and just in general for games.
That's the hope. That's the dream.
We've been talking about the cards, the game, and the art, so let's do that art reveal. So we're revealing one new card that has not been shown to anybody else. This card is the Ent Hermit. So you'll see on the screen there's two cards. It's the same card, but it has the top side and the bottom side because there's the wild and the tame side. So talk to us about this card, Dennis, and then maybe Lauren, you can talk to us about how you came up with the art for this one.
So the idea behind this one, so this is an Ent. I mentioned them earlier, and so that blue collar vibe is really there. Like Ents are ancient and they're wise, but they're not at all refined. They're very gruff. They're very, blue collar is the right word for it. And so we wanted to capture that. In the reference images, I went and just tried to find the scraggliest, cliff cleanest trees out there, and posted pictures of those, because this card is from a set of cards that are all set in the Shardspire Mountains, which is this very daunting mountain range. And Ents, they're already cantankerous. They already don't like people, and these are the most reclusive of them that have actually retreated up into the mountains. Where you can't grow your roots as deep, but you're less likely to meet any travelers. And kind of a secret idea in the card, or an Easter egg here, a quirk of the Ents, is that you can see it in the flavor text, right? So it says the only thing an Ent loves more than being alone is yelling at people to leave them alone. So there's this element, even though they're gruff and they chase people away, somewhere under the surface they seem to at least enjoy company, even if it is in an antagonistic light. So that's the kind of stuff that went into the brief, as well as obviously the stats and the idea of this is a minion that plays with the idea of like you can't play other cards, or it doesn't want other cards around. And you see how that works in the mechanics. And the idea here is that it kind of punishes overly passive play from a mechanics standpoint. But you're not here for the mechanics. You're here for the art. So I'll pass over to Lauren on that.
Yeah, this is I think the third Ent that I had drawn for this for Deck of Wonders, and it's so much fun to play with their personality because they're so gruff and so cantankerous, and they're just like these grumpy old people who are just, they don't want to be messed with, but they absolutely do want to be messed with. They get pleasure out of being messed with, or getting to yell at somebody. So yeah, like in that way that they do kind of crave that company. And so this was a fun one to work on, because this is a mountain Ent, which is, you have to assume that in these crystal mountains, because the Shardspire Mountain biome that I made is like all very crystalline and and everything. And you can actually see that material in his staff that he's holding, that it's actually made of that material that you see in a lot of the other card art. But because this area is so secluded, like the Ent can't be as like well developed as the other Ents, from Deck of Wonders are. So this one has more of like an autumn foliage, a little bit more, like kind of scraggly, and maybe not the best nourished Ent you'll see, but he's still making his way however he can, and more than happy to yell at some hiker that they're going in the wrong way, or that they're stepping on his territory. And so,
get off of my mountain face.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, this was a lot of fun to draw, and Ents are fun in particular because of their half tree, half human anatomy. And so playing with like the root shapes and the wood shapes and like the arms and the legs and the and how their hair works is always a lot of fun to me, because I love creature design. So yeah, they're really enjoyable. an actual tree beard as well.
Yes.
I love like on the wild side, he has his finger like slightly like you need
Yeah.
to get out of here.
Like, and it creaked up really slowly, like trees would, just like.
Kind of like hear it cracking as it goes up.
Yeah, exactly.
It invites. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
It invites the question of like, all right, you're yelling at me to go, but could you actually chase me away if I didn't?
Absolutely not.
You think like with seeing people every once in a while, he'd be like, "Go away," but like, give me some of your stuff because I'm hungry and I need stuff to like strengthen up because he's looking pretty scraggly.
Usually they can't give him any ground nutrients, unfortunately. So unless they have any, stray fertilizer on them, it's probably not going to work out anyway.
Duly noted.
I love the way on this one, if you compare it to the Ent tree herd, which is in the other set, this one I mentioned before. There's almost like a reverse balding that happens, or like the hair pattern goes up as it gets sparser. Yeah, like that's so cool, and you can see the branches in their head, whereas the other one is just like very full, very lush, all leaves. It's so cool to like see that creature design and see that anatomy that's kind of underneath in these sparser conditions.
Yeah, and now that you point that out, I'm realizing that I was inspired by the trees that are around my neighborhood. There was this one year where we had this freeze, and a lot of the trees didn't want to really come back, but they started to come back late. And when they came back late, they only had foliage up at the top, but like a lot of it was like bald. So I took that balding style for the Ent tree herd, or sorry, for the Ent hermit. And yeah, I'm glad you caught on to that.
That's super cool. I love that little detail. Like stuff like that is just so awesome that like you think about that and incorporate it. I love it. I'll have to look for that next time. Like, I didn't remember that, so that's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, art is all about just like the influences that you get from just life and being around and observing things that, inspire you, leave an impression on you in some way. And so sometimes when I make art, certain themes will show up that I wasn't even thinking about, and I'm just like, where did that come from? Why did I make that? Oh, that's where it came from. It's like that walk in the forest, so that going around my neighborhood every day during pandemic, it's just like, oh, like I know what these things look like. And so yeah, you just take from what you experience in every day.
It
And
was
it's really
a writer,
interesting how you
but
take those experiences and then you're able to tell a story and just build this world with it. It's really cool.
It's a lot of fun doing that.
it was a writer, but I once kind of went to hear from someone, and they said, the reason I write is to find out what's in my head.
That's actually a really good way to get things out of your head. And same with
Yeah.
art. It's just like, there's so many things that I'm just like, oh, like I see where this came from. Like sometimes years later, I'll find out, like, look in an old sketchbook and be like, I was drawing these things so long ago. And so these influences pop up in such unexpected ways, but I'm really happy to be able to share them with people who take the time to look at the details and see just like, oh, like that's interesting. And like maybe if they've seen trees like that before, they're just like, oh, I know what that is, like, or why this is happening. So, having things resonate is always really, really rewarding.
It's cold on the mountain.
It's cold. It is cold. Trees probably can't get that green either.
So something I love about the art is, so in the game, there's different decks of cards for different characters / situations, but throughout it, you're able to kind of make it look uniting because of your style. And so like they have like the different backgrounds where it's like, yes, it has different colors in different places, but it still like flows super well together. And I can't wait to like have all the cards just out and just look at all of them at the same time.
I can't wait to see these all printed too. Like it's been a real a real pleasure being able to establish each different biome, because this is again, like Dennis said, the Sharkspire Mountains, which has a different feel from the desert where Aurora is, which has a different feel from Cullen's Forest. And so even throughout all those, kind of unique color schemes and those unique biomes, I still wanted to keep my style strong throughout the entire thing. And so, keeping the things that just define why I choose color and the decisions I make, how I treat line art, I wanted to have them all consistent. So you can definitely tell all this art came from Deck of Wonders, and, it also came from me. And I'm really glad that comes across as people look at these cards and, play this game. So I'm really hoping that everybody really enjoys it.
Mhm.
They will.
I worked really hard on it.
Well, and it's cool. You were talking about process earlier, and it's really cool the way that like Lauren's art has inspired elements of the game and elements of the story. Like the kind of crystalline nature of the Shardspire Mountains was 100% her. That she did kind of art. It's of Byzantis, so that art is out there. It's on the Kickstarter page. That had like heavy crystal focus, and it was like, oh my god, yes, like that, more of that. And that went on to kind of inform the story, the motifs throughout that, and even went on to inspire kind of the vibe of the soundtrack for the game, which is something that because the game did so well, we are able to do fully produced audio for each of the story segments through Foreteller.
That is going to be super cool to get
Yeah.
the final thing. Yeah, get it all together.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that too. It's gonna be so sick.
So with that, how much more card art is there left to do? Like, how close is this to getting all the way done?
Well, first put in perspective, how much card art did you need?
Well, yeah.
And then how far are you along?
It's curtains. I
Yeah,
did
there's
it.
0 left.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, from an art perspective, we're 100%
From an art
done.
perspective.
Yeah,
Yes.
the art is 100% done. And I like we're showing some of it off here and there, but it is all freaking amazing. I'm so excited for it.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, well, it's coming. It's coming. It's just
It's coming.
yeah. So we the art is 100% done. There's some graphic design touches that just need to really pull the room together, as it were. And then the manufacturer's all queued up, distributor's all queued up, shipper's all queued up. So we get the files over to them. It gets made. And then it just comes across the sea from China to our distributor and into everyone's hands. That's the shipping is the big question mark, just with how crazy things are right now. Especially COVID's back on the rise, ports are being shut down, kind of no tolerance policy wise. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully this will be in people's hands come February.
I'm excited. Oh, I'm just so
It's
excited.
gonna be great.
It's gonna be sooner than you think too, because this year is going by fast. So
yeah, no doubt. Oh my god, it's we're recording. Fun fact, on the last night before my oldest's first day of school, and so you want to talk about getting weepy eyes of like everything's going too fast. Like baby's going to school tomorrow. But yeah, so it'll come fast. But if you miss the Kickstarter. And you want to get it on the game, you can still do late pledges. So we're holding late pledges open as long as we can. That will probably be through kind of mid to late October. But you can get the game, and we're doing late pledge stretch goals. So every milestone we hit of late pledges, we reveal new concept art, which has been really fun. And if you late pledge, you get that audio that I mentioned for free. You get the digital art book for the game because it has so much amazing art. Get the digital art book for free, and you also get the print and play files for the game for free. And I mentioned that the shipping is the hardest part, right? You get the print and play files right away, like that's on lockdown. So that all those things together, like if you would normally pay for them, doubles the value of what you're getting for the game.
And there's cool play mats with awesome art from Lauren.
There are, yes,
our play mats.
Love them. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of different art that those that you can get on those, all the villains and stuff like that. So all that's available, and I'm sure we'll get a link in the notes and stuff. At least through October. If I wind up being able to hold open longer, I will. But people that are interested can still get in on the game and get some really cool extras as well.
That's awesome. And yes, we will definitely put a link in the description. And we'll have links for each of their social media so you can check out the art from Lauren Brown because she's done other art as well. And you can get all the info about Deck of Wonders. So many pretty things to look at.
Yes,
so I know a while back when we were first getting on Instagram as Better Half Reviews, I didn't know about Deck of Wonders. Bryce was like, hey, look at this. and I think you had like a contest or something. Something was going on, and he's like, "Look at this art." I'm like, "Wow, that art is super cool. There you go." And then he's like, "Well, no, look at it." And so then that's kind of how like we got into it. Like he saw the art and it really pulled him in, and I was like, "Well, yeah, that's super cool," but I didn't like understand anything about the game. And then
I'm like, it's a long shot, but let's try reaching out to these people. Let's see if they'll answer us. We're super small,
Oh man, best introduction that ever got made.
I'm really happy to know that that's how you found it.
So I know that Deck of Wonders is still like a work in progress. It hasn't been out yet to the public, but is there more stuff coming?
I do indeed have plans. I think I need to give Lauren like a 5-year break before I ask her to do any more art. Otherwise, her head might explode. But yeah, so I have 2 expansions that I've actually had in mind since the beginning of the game. There's one that's centered around a new mechanic that I'll introduce. That will kind of be a theme throughout all the villains that you face. And then there's another that will explore the co-op side of the game. And so the game is primarily solo. That's what I developed it for first and foremost. But there is a way to play co-op, so you guys can play together. You only need 1 copy of the game to play co-op. And as I've play tested, as I've kind of developed it, I think it's a really fun and unique way to play the game. But I think as I was doing that, I was like, man, if I like went all in on it, I could do some really cool things. And so, one is a new mechanic, and the other is a co-op focus.
Awesome.
2 expansions. No promises on when those will come out, but from the start, I've had intentions for kind of continuing this on. The format of the game is, like I mentioned, Fate is throwing these villains in your path, and every villain is kind of a module or a set of cards that has unique feel and a unique story. And so it's very easy to extend the story, extend the world by just adding more villains.
So Lauren, are you ready for that?
I mean, right now, no, but eventually, yes. I think really the only issue is the fact that I work full time already as an art director, so that my job already requires a lot of brain power. So it's a lot to balance all those things. But it's been so much fun to be able to do all of this art and be able to bring this to life. But I might need a little bit of time just to recharge my batteries. So, but later down the line, I would love to work on an expansion with Dennis. That'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my principle throughout has been like, I don't want this is a passion project. I don't want any stress associated with it. I don't want any cranking associated with it. Although I'm sure there has been those things in spades, but time between is definitely valuable.
Oh yeah, and you've been so patient with me. So Dennis is an awesome client.
The results have paid out on that front. Like the work that comes back is so freaking amazing, as you guys saw today. And there's just like, man, my inbox is filled with awesome art that we'll get to share with everyone come February. And I guess with print and play, really in just a couple months here. Like
that's true.
The physical game comes out in February, but the print and play files might be out way earlier than that. Which, if you're up for browsing art, like that's your jam.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll patiently wait, and definitely excited for whatever may come in the future. We've had a ton of fun playing this game. It's been new for both of us in different aspects, and I think it's a very approachable game for most anybody. And I love that it's really easy to get to the table. It doesn't take up a lot of time or a lot of space, and it's challenging and it's gorgeous. So it hits all the right boxes for me.
Yeah, it's definitely a great game. I took a trip and brought it on the plane with me and was able to play like just on the little tray in front of me.
Yes! Oh, that's the torture test. That's awesome. That's so good. I'm glad to hear that.
So thank you guys for joining us for this art reveal and little interview, get a little sneak peek of the behind the scenes of how it works from creator to art creator and seeing how this all works. It's a gorgeous game, and you guys have done some great teamwork together, and this Deck of Wonders is going to be awesome.
Thank you guys so much for having us. I'm really excited to share more of this art.
So
Yes.
remember, we'll have the links in the description for everybody if you want to check out Lauren's work and more about Deck of Wonders. All the links available. You should late back this if you want to because it's a good investment.
Not if you want to, you just leave back it.
I have to try to be nice, like not tell them they have. Yeah, you should. You should just do
Thank you guys. Yeah, this has been great.
it.
Thank you
Yeah,
all so
so
much.
check it out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm Allison,
I'm Bryce.
and we're Better Half Reviews. Happy gaming.
Have fun.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.